to prevent that tsunami. PEPCO was suggested to make new wall for tsunami, but they didn't want to spend any money, so that they didn't. Then the consequence is it's 3 reactors went down. And then more than 100,000 people had to be evacuated. And then still after 9 years, 48,000 people are still out of the prefecture in the relocation area. The government declared the nuclear power emergency situation after the meltdown. The government manipulates the safe standard level by this declaration, so that they lifted 20 times more for the safe radiation dosage from 1 millisievert per year up to 20 millisievert per year, even for the amount of the radiation, the becquerel, has been 100 kilograms, 100 becquerel per kilograms. Now it's 80 times more, 8,000 becquerel per kilograms. So with this declaration, they said official decontamination of the area, only like straight 5 centimeters of the surface of the soil. Then now they said, yes, it is safe now, please come back. They cut the compensation. They stopped the support of the housing cost. And now possibly asking them to come back, but only people came back to the area. 70% people are over 60 years old. Young people or parents who have little kids, they know it is still dangerous. For Olympic, Japan government, they are pretending, giving a false imagination that Fukushima recovered. Fukushima is now very safe. Entire Japan is safe, so that we can have Olympic, and even the torch, Olympic torch in Japan start from Fukushima. This safety campaign we really cannot allow. And please remember, this declaration, this government manipulation, it's still there. They cannot lift it yet. Under this declaration, how we can have the Olympic? So we are totally against Olympic, even not the coronavirus epidemic. Now, because the coronavirus epidemic, Japan should really cancel. But even without Japan should cancel the Olympic, then rest of money they have to spend for use for the victims. They took the entire Fukushima's people's livelihood, their property, their ancestors' land, and they took the people's right to live healthy. Now, government should pay back to those victims, especially the children. Already 232 kids are diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and then about 100 that they are thyroid, and they have to have medicine until their end of lives. But government still denied that this thyroid cancer epidemic and meltdown are not connected. They are not sincere at all. They even try to cut the checking for the thyroid cancer because the thyroid cancer appeared because they did over tested. So they want to cancel. So this is not the right attitude. So we must stand and then say to this window of the Japanese government, to the consulate here, please take care of the victims of Fukushima. They are still suffering, and then stop, cancel Olympics. Thank you.
The subject is Fukushima Daiichi COVID-19 Olympics. Dear Prime Minister Abe, on this, the 9th year since the start of the ongoing uncontrolled release of radiation from Fukushima Daiichi nuclear reactor cores, I urge you once more to recognize your historic role. You have been handed one of the biggest challenges ever to be set a world leader. Fukushima's reactor meltdowns have confronted you with many questions, not least of which is the future of nuclear power in your country. The Fukushima cores show no sign of letting up as radioactive water continues to be stockpiled on site as it has for much of the last 9 years. You must wonder at some point what happens to that when you run out of space. And that is only one thing that can go wrong in the radioactive time frame. You have the opportunity, as we have noted before, to set a new direction for Japanese prosperity through a major restructuring moving towards renewable energy. Solar, wind, and tidal energy is the future. Lead the way. Why would you continue to promote a nuclear future when the threat from nuclear power in a seismically active area facing the unruly sea has been so painfully illustrated? Another problem thrust on you is the possible world pandemic posed by COVID-19 virus just as you prepare to host the Olympics. Concerns have been expressed about holding the event with its risk of radioactive contamination of participants, especially in the venues near Fukushima. COVID-19's more immediately apparent and immediate effects and serious consequences, especially for elders, make it that much more important that the Olympics be canceled. Your primary duty is to the health and safety of the people. Please lead in nuclear power, promote a green future, protect the people. Thank you.
And we're here supporting you in addressing this issue of Fukushima disaster and the continuation of dumping and exposing us to nuclear, additional nuclear pollution in our environment, our water, our air, our soil, right? And one of the things that we are dealing with right now here at home, specifically, does anybody here live in the East Bay area, Alameda County? Some folks do, okay. And it's not just limited to the East Bay, but this is like a California issue. Who here has heard of community choice energy? Community choice energy in California? Right, so these are programs that were designed to replace PG&E and focus on providing clean energy in our communities, right? Well, right now, PG&E has a sweetheart deal. They're offering community choice programs. They're offering nuclear energy from the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant out in San Luis Obispo. And these community choice programs are considering taking this. So we're actually fighting that right now. Because when we started community choice, it was to focus on producing clean energy, renewable energy like solar and wind, to do energy efficiency programs in our communities, to build the clean energy infrastructure we need to transition off of fossil fuels and false solutions like nuclear energy, right? Because we don't want to repeat the disaster of Fukushima. We don't want to repeat the disasters of Chernobyl. We're tired of that. And as a matter of fact, we're tired of these public officials actually utilizing very dangerous forms of energy like nuclear and pitching it as carbon-free energy when we know that it's actually really dangerous for our communities, it's dangerous for generations moving forward, and that there's no undoing that mess that they've done this far. And the only way to stop it is to stop the use of nuclear energy completely. So we need your support. We are handing out flyers today, stickers that have a website to sign on to our petition, because we want to show these community trust programs that it's time to move away not only from fossil fuels but from nuclear energy as well. And we need to not continue supporting PG&E in keeping their Diablo Canyon nuclear plant open. This is a way for them to create a market for their nuclear, because right now nobody wants it. If community trust programs take it, then they have a way to say that they have a market for this energy. What we want to see is Diablo Canyon closed down. It's the last nuclear plant in the state of California. We need to shut it down. And in doing so, we need to prevent all community trust programs in California from accepting nuclear energy. So I appreciate your support. Please sign our petition. I'm Jessica with the Local Clean Energy Alliance, and my coworker here, Barbara, has flyers and stickers. So make sure you don't leave today without getting them. Thank you very much.
TEPCO, the company which is running Fukushima, is like PG&E. It's a criminal company. TEPCO did not properly safeguard the plant, and the owners of Fukushima said that they could cut money. They didn't have to worry about a nuclear accident. In fact, at TEPCO, at Fukushima, they actually had health and safety problems there, and Kate Sugaki, a health and safety investigator with PG&E, said it was dangerous. He saw a dryer had been changed, and there were health and safety things. He videotaped the dangers at Fukushima. And what happened was the manager of Fukushima and General Electric told him to change the videotape, to edit the videotape, to deny what was happening. So this is criminal negligence, and like PG&E, these companies don't care about the people. They're interested in profit. And that's another reason we have to end the private control of energy, private control of fossil fuel, which is also destroying the climate. These companies want to drill more gas and oil. They don't care what the costs are to the climate. It's called profiteering and destroying the people of the world. So we're here today on the 9th anniversary of Fukushima, and in front of the Japanese Consulate in San Francisco, and people all over the world are afraid. They're afraid of coronavirus. They're afraid of global warming. And there are reasons to be afraid. This government, the Japanese government as well as the U.S. government, are responsible for this crisis. In fact, what Donald Trump is now saying is that he wants to give tax money to the fracking industry. That's his idea of solving the economic crisis. We should give tax subsidies to the fracking industry. I mean, this is the craziness and the madness. Fracking is destroying the world, and he wants our tax dollars to go for the fracking industry. It's the same with nuclear power. They have to subsidize nuclear power to make it effective. Nobody wants to insure a nuclear plant because they saw what happened in Chernobyl. They see what's happening at Fukushima. Now, Fukushima, they have not even removed the melted cores, and they're still in the plant. They haven't been able to retrieve them. And this is 7 years after Fukushima. I mean, so 9 years after Fukushima. It goes on and on. So, I mean, can you imagine 9 years after the Fukushima accident, they still haven't retrieved the radioactive cores which melted down? They still need water to cool these? This is 9 years after that disaster, that man-made disaster. What does that tell us? that tell us that nuclear power is dangerous. Nuclear power threatens the communities like the people of Fukushima. And the fact that there's 1.5 million tons of radioactive water in tanks surrounding that plant, which the government says they want to release in the Pacific Ocean, is an outrage. Even the fishermen in Fukushima are against that. The people are against nuclear power, but this government really doesn't care. The government of Abe, as a matter of fact, wants to start the nuclear Olympics with a torch procession from Fukushima on March the 26th. Now, here you have a pandemic, a world pandemic, in which flights to China and Korea are being shut off. You have people dying from the coronavirus. There's an epidemic going on in Japan, and they want to start the Olympics with a torch procession from Fukushima. Can you make this up? I mean, it is hard to believe the madness, the craziness of this government. But that's why we believe that Abe has to go. Abe out now. 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 And not only should he be removed from office, but actually Abe should be arrested and put on trial for lying to people, for criminal negligence, for telling the children and the people of Japan that it's safe. He lied to the International Olympic Committee, saying that Fukushima was safe, that it had been decontaminated. Well, there has been no decontamination in Fukushima. It's still thousands, tens of thousands of bags of radioactive waste surround Fukushima. Is that called decontamination, when you have tens of thousands of bags of radioactive waste? I don't think so. But for Abe, the business of the contractors, the business of profiteering, using government money to pay contractors to clean the roofs of homes and saying it's been decontaminated, that's the kind of fraud that he's perpetrated. Really a criminal fraud on the people of Japan and the people of the world. So we say, stop the nukes, Abe out. 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 And the other issue that we have to look at seriously is the governments now, the US government and the Japanese government, are saying that they need emergency measures. Abe wants to have an emergency using the coronavirus to have a dictatorship. They're moving towards a dictatorship, and that's what Trump would like to have. A dictatorship where all the journalists are in jail, which he calls the journalist scum, because he doesn't want any criticism. He doesn't want any exposure of the corruption. So that's why they're using this crisis, the coronavirus crisis, to militarize and to repress and for dictatorship. We're saying no dictatorship, put the real criminals on trial. We have to stop the global warming. We have to stop the nuclear dangers. In San Francisco, there was a rally this morning of the nurses at the University of California in San Francisco. And what they reported is they don't have enough nurses now. There's understaffing of the nurses. They have to reuse masks at UCSF. Can you imagine that? The nurses at University of San Francisco, California have to reuse their masks? And this is one of the top medical institutions in the world, and they have to reuse the mask. That tells you that the priority has not been for healthcare. It's been for profiteering, for militarization, and for war. That's where the money is going. We have to end the war spending around the world. We have to use the money that's being spent for war, for healthcare, for housing, to protect the people of this country and the world. That's what we use this money for. And the people of this country who now face a depression and an epidemic, a pandemic. This is the first time there's been a pandemic since 1919 with the Spanish flu. That was the last time there was a pandemic in the world. We have another pandemic, and this country is not prepared for it. And this country is more prepared than the Philippines. And I just learned today, Duarte has got coronavirus, the president of the Philippines. The Minister of Health of the United Kingdom has gotten coronavirus. So we're talking about officials. The education junior minister in Iran has gotten coronavirus. We're talking a worldwide pandemic, and we're saying that we have to take care of the people first. We have to take care of the healthcare workers and the education workers and the transit workers. These are the people that need support. And the fact that in this country, in San Francisco, one of the richest cities in the world, they cannot afford masks. They don't have a supply of masks, so that the nurses have to reuse masks. That's a crime, and that's a threat to the safety of all the people of San Francisco and all the people in the world. So shut down all the nukes. Shut down all the nukes.
Hello everyone. Code Pink is joining the Fukushima commemoration today. And we're also asking for the shutdown of our own Fukushima waiting to happen, which is Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant, which is located halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles on the California coast. It's in a historical tsunami zone. Sound familiar? It's situated near almost 13 earthquake faults. Sound familiar? This is our Fukushima waiting to happen right here in California at Diablo Canyon. And we would like to shut that plant this year. We do not want to wait for 2024 or 2025, which is the scheduled shutdown perhaps. We're not even sure of that. We need to shut it now. One of the things that I would like to point out to you is that there are giant cost overruns for Diablo Canyon. PG&E is going to pass that on to the ratepayers, and PG&E is a felon. PG&E has been convicted of felony, and they are running that decrepit nuclear plant where they haven't tested the welds in reactor core 1 since 2003. Because the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which is supposed to be protecting us and regulating for our benefits, for the utility users' benefits, is actually regulating on behalf of the nuclear industry instead of us. And we know this, and we need to make them do their job. We need the Governor of California to do his job. The Governor of California needs to shut Diablo Canyon immediately. He has a fiduciary duty to the people of the state and the country to not allow an expensive, inordinately expensive and dangerous nuclear plant to continue operating one more day. We're all holding our breaths. We're all holding our breaths, especially the people who live in San Luis Obispo and downwind from that nuclear plant at Diablo Canyon. The people who are downwind are deathly afraid, and yet they live day to day with that danger. Can you believe that? And we're not going to escape it either up here. Radiation does not stay in one place. It doesn't. So I've handed out a song sheet to you all. I don't know if we can take a minute to sing this song by Malvina Reynolds that she wrote in 1977. It's called Nuclear Power Reggae. And I can lead it and you can sing along if you have the lyrics. Does anyone else need the lyrics? I have extra copies.
Pretty middle of the road publication here, so alluding to what Steve was saying about procession and all this. Japan's government on Wednesday, this is last week, opened part of the last town that had been off limits due to radiation since Fukushima nuclear disaster 9 years ago in a symbolic move showing the region's recovery ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. All 7,000 people in the town of Futaba were forced to evacuate when 3 reactors at a nearby nuclear plant melted down after being damaged by a magnitude 9.0 earthquake and tsunami March 11, 2011, so 9 years ago today. The partial lifting of the entry ban comes weeks before the Olympic torch procession starts in another town in Fukushima. Totally ridiculous here. The torch could also pass through Futaba, about 2.4 miles from the wrecked nuclear plant. Unrestricted access, however, is being allowed only in a less than 1 square mile area near the train station in Futaba, which will reopen later this month to connect the town with the rest of the region. This is madness. For the first time since the accident, access to the vast majority of Futaba is allowed only for those who receive permission for a day visit. Because key infrastructure is still being rebuilt, residents won't be able to return to live there until 2022. The 3 reactor meltdowns of the town's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant spewed massive amount of radiation contaminated the surrounding area, and at its peak forced more than 160,000 people to flee. The gate of the checkpoint was open at midnight Tuesday, and Futaba officials placed the signboard marking their new town office. I'm overwhelmed with emotion as we finally bring part of our town operations back to our hometown, Futaba. Fukushima Mayor Shiro Izawa said, pledging further recovery and reconstruction. Lifting of the no-go zone is not the goal. Our goal is to see the residents come back and live just like before. So on the next paragraph, here's a contradiction. These people are basically talking out both sides of their mouth, the leaders of Japan. Officials say prospects for the return of Fukushima's former residents are grim because of lingering concerns on radiation. Many residents have also found new jobs in communities after evacuating, and only about 10% say they plan to return. Futaba's registered residents already have decreased by 1,000 from its pre-disaster population of 7,000. Many evacuees ended up in Kansas City, north of Tokyo, after long bus trips, various stopovers, and stays in shelters at athletic arenas and abandoned high school. Anyway, this shows how the misinformation, the lies, they're surrounding this whole issue. So, thank you.
So shut down all the nukes. Shut down all the nukes. Shut down all the nukes. Abe out now.